Have you ever experienced a situation where you feel like somebody isn't listening, and whatever it is you say, they don't listen, and they're trying to make a point? You're telling them what you're trying to say is not working, it doesn't apply to you, but they wouldn't hear it because they're in their own world. They're in their own world, you're in your own world, and it seems like you're speaking different languages. This often happens when we don't pay attention to the other person. And this is one of the major problems we have in our relationships today. Now, when I talk about relationships, I'm not talking about just intimate relationships. I'm talking about relationships between employees and employers, between parents and children, between the leaders and the citizens. Every relationship. A situation where people don't feel heard and seen, you create a disconnection. And if you would want to create a connection with somebody else, with people, whether either one person or a group of people, you need to make them feel seen and heard. You need to learn their language of expression. Now, I remember not too long ago, there was a protest in Nigeria like we've had in every other part of the world. One of the problems that often leads to protests or citizens not being happy with the leadership of the country is because people don't feel seen and heard. The citizens are having certain experiences and they are, trying to get the attention of the leadership. But then sometimes, the leadership acts like they hear, but they were not listening. When you look at relationships, one of the major fights you always have is because you have been repeating something over and over and over again, but somehow this person is not listening to what you are saying. So it is affecting the quality of your relationship. Now, let's bring this to the business space. A situation where you create products and services without listening to your clients, listening to their needs, listening to the problems that they have, the needs that they say they have, and what they want, their desires, or you don't pay attention to what your clients say they want or need or desire, what happens is that you'll be unable to meet their needs. And when you're not meeting their needs, you won't be able to create profit in your business. This is very important because it helps us to create a connection with these people. This shows our empathy towards them, because when we hear people, when we listen to people and we make them feel seen, what happens is that we're able to get into their shoes, we're able to see things from their perspective, and this helps us to create solutions or meet their needs as much as possible. But a situation where that is not happening, a situation where we are not being empathic, we are not showing up with as much empathy as we should, will be creating more disconnection. To be able to avoid this, you need to work on building deeper connections, creating alignments, making people feel seen and heard, and making people feel seen and heard. This will basically improve your relationship. It's going to improve your product development process. It's going to improve your customer service. It's going to improve your leadership as much as possible. So you want a situation where you're showing up with more empathy, where you're listening to people, you're making them feel heard and seen as much as possible. And to help you do this, I have an acronym with the word LIFT, LIFT. And this is divided into two, LI and FT. And the first part will help you, is all you need to learn from the people who you are working to form a relationship with, who you're working to, empathize with. And the second part helps you to show up as a person who they identify with, the person who they see as being empathic with them as much as possible. So the first is L, which is to listen. You want to be able to listen to the words that have been spoken and the ones that are not spoken. So you're looking at their body language to really hear them. You want a situation where you're paying attention as much as possible, and in communication, active listening is a very important component of that. If you want to empathize with people, if you want to make them feel seen and heard, listening to them is the first step. Hear what they are saying, remove all of your biases, what your own agendas, and everything that you know or you think you know about them or about the situation, and truly be present in the conversation and hear what they have to say. When you pay attention, you're able to listen to all of their grievances, where it hurts, the things they are going through, and you're able to sit with them through it. You're able to see things from their perspective, and it helps you to understand them better. So you want a situation where you are paying attention to whatever it is they are sharing, whatever it is they are saying, without any agenda, but really listening to them. And for you to also be able to listen, you ask questions. Where you are not sure what they mean, you ask them questions to clarify meanings of words, meanings of phrases, and things like that. Because sometimes we use certain words in different contexts and we give them different meanings. And if we are not careful, we lose communication in the process of giving meanings to particular words. So if you are not sure what the person is making reference to, ask them. Be very inquisitive, be very curious about asking questions to clarify. Because if you're not asking questions to clarify things, what you'll be doing is that you'll be assuming, and assumption breaks relationships, because you just keep assuming things that are not there. And if you're assuming things that are not there, you'll be creating problems for things, you'll be creating solutions for problems that are non-existent. And this will not just lead to a waste of time and breakdown of the relationship, but it's also going to lead to a waste of money, of course, of all of your resources at the end of the day. So you want to be able to listen attentively, ask questions, ask for clarifications where needed, so you can avoid assumptions. The I in lift is identify. So you want to be able to identify really what the problem is. So now you're listening, you're getting data. The process of listening is you getting data. When you ask questions, you're clarifying as much as possible. And then in the next step is for you to identify. Now, what you're identifying is what really is the problem, what really is the root cause of the problem. Are they so fixated on the fruit of the problem that they are not paying attention to the root? And how can you bring their attention to the root of the problem? So this way you are identifying what they really need, and then you are asking them if that is what they say, if that is what they really need, or if it is something that they are open to in the case of creating products, and all of that. Not just making assumptions, but you are identifying the real need. Because sometimes some people would act angry even though what they really are feeling is hunger. So you want to be able to differentiate what it is by identifying the symptoms, the cues, and digging deep to know what really the root cause of the problem is. So when you're able to identify this, people would see you in themselves. They'll feel like you share the same perspective. They'll feel like you understand them, and they'll be able to open up more to you. You'll be showing up as a person who has their best interest at heart. And then what happens is, when you make any recommendations, they're able to, work with your recommendations, or they're open to even improving their relationships with you, as the case may be, because they know that you understand them. You are taking the time to dig deeper than the surface to identify what the problem is and show up for them as much as possible. Now, the second part is how you now show up. So the F is for you to foster connection. So you foster connection by not only listening, but then by showing up, by being there, by saying the right things at the right time, by showing up with integrity, by doing what you say you're going to do, and following through, by keeping your commitment to your commitments as much as possible. Now, you strengthen this connection by the way you show up every single time. There's this saying that you build you build trust. So scratch that. So you're fostering connection as much as possible, because you don't want a situation where you spend so much time building this connection and then you do something that just makes you get disconnected with these people. So you're very consistent in these activities. You are being very consistent in your words and your actions. You do what you say you do, and you mean what you say, and you say what you mean, and things like that. This helps you to strengthen your connection with them. You're showing up for them when it's important to them, not when it is convenient for you. You are showing up for them when they need you. There's a difference between a friend who shows up when it's convenient for them, and a friend who shows up because you need them. The level of connection, the level of closeness you would have with that friend who only shows up when it's convenient for them is nothing compared to the one who shows up when you really need them. So you want a situation where you're showing up for the people who you're leading, whether it is convenient for you or not. The people who you're working with, the people who you're in a relationship with, your clients, as much as possible. There is this thing that you dig a well before you need it, before you are thirsty, right? You dig a well before you're thirsty. So you're investing in all these relationships, building this connection so that when it is needed, it's already there. Because you don't want a situation where you're trying to dig a well when you're thirsty, and that is what a lot of people do. And that is why we don't often show up with empathy. We go about our relationships very transactional. You want a situation where you're investing in relationships before you even need the dividends of that relationship. So you don't want to be known as this person who is only forming relationships with people because you need something from them. You want a situation where you are giving value over and over and over again, so that when you make an ask, it is almost impossible for people not to, honor your ask or give you that thing that you want. And the last point is T, and this is trust. Now, building trust is very, very difficult, and it is very easy to lose. This again is all about you staying true to your words, meeting people at the place where they want, at the place where they are, and building with them. Trust is very important. Trust is all about you showing up in a way that people have confidence in your ability to do a particular thing. And this is, exemplified by you showing up with a lot of integrity, doing the things you say you're going to do, and following through. If there is anything you find to do, you do it excellently. This way, people develop trust in your ability. So you want a situation where now you are listening to people, you are identifying their problems, you are fostering connection by the way you're showing up and meeting their needs and all of that, and then you are showing your expertise so that they build this confidence in you, they develop this confidence in you and your ability to show up for them. Now, when I think about this, I think about the people who I have learned from over time, my coaches, my mentors, and even sometimes some of my therapists who, over time, they have shown that they have the capacity to listen to me, to meet me in my time of need, to give me those things that I need by, fostering those connections, and then showing that they have the expertise, they have the ability to help me get through whatever it is I am getting through, or provide me whatever it is I need at different times. And if you bring this into all of your interactions and you're thinking about how you can listen to people, you're not very quick to interject, you're allowing them express themselves, you are identifying what they really, really need. There are sometimes that people would say something, but then it is the fruit, it is the fruit, not the root. So you're looking at it from that perspective, you're digging deep into whatever it is they are saying, and then you are fostering connection by you actively showing up, ensuring that your words are consistent with your actions, and things like that. And then you're showing up in a way that helps them to build confidence in you, in your ability to do things for them, to help them to meet their needs. What happens is that you this becomes your competitive advantage, or it becomes an advantage that you can always leverage on. You become somebody who is identified as being very empathic, and then if you have this quality of empathy and making people feel heard and seen, it becomes easy for people to trust you, to entrust responsibilities to you, and this expands your influence. This helps you to show up better. This helps you to create wealth and the type of life that you want or desire at the end of the day. So it is very important that you work on improving your empathy so that you can improve your connection across board. It can help you to create products and services that people truly need, and of course products and services that they would make use of, and this by extension will be increasing your influence and improving the quality of your life. So if you're looking to create more abundance in your life or to live a life of fulfillment and meaning, I hope you found this useful. Do well to like, share, comment and subscribe. Bye.